Hello everyone, welcome to the Ozark Outpost. This is going to be a solo game of Global War 1985, Global Thermonuclear War, also known as Scenario 3. Going to call this Operation Nike. Why Nike, you may ask? Well, Nike was the Greek goddess of victory. It was also the name of a nuclear anti-ballistic missile deployed by the United States from the late 50s into the late 60s. The idea was that the missile would be fired into the upper atmosphere and detonate its nuke, and in theory the blast wave was either to vaporize nearby Soviet ICBMs that were inbound to the United States, or at a minimum to knock them off course so that they would not hit their intended targets. Well, one of these Nike missile bases happened to be located in the little rural county in southwest Illinois that I grew up in. It was up on the river bluff above Pierre Marquette State Park, and sited to defend St. Louis locally and the middle of the country in general. So here we go with Operation Nike. Quick lay of the land so you know what's going on. If you've watched any of my Global 36 games, you know that I'm not only a big fan of expansions, but I'm a big fan of playing a lot of expansions at once. So that's what I'm going to do here in this solo game. The expansions that I'm going to play, actually I don't think any of the expansions have been officially published yet, but they do exist in varying forms and degrees. So I'm going to be playing anti-submarine warfare helicopters. I'm also going to be playing what we call Naval Operations 1 and Naval Operations 2. Those involve naval aviation and expanded anti-submarine warfare operations. I'm also playing the Battleships and Battlecruisers expansion. And then on land, I am playing SPAG, which is anti-aircraft artillery. I'm playing rocket artillery, short-range ballistic missiles, and I think that's it. That's probably enough. Well, I don't know if there's ever such thing as enough, but it's all that's available right now. Okay, and then for the random events, I'm not rolling for them. I have chosen them. Warsaw Pact is going to play Toyota Wars, which will take place here in North Africa. And then Soviet Far East Command is going to be pursuing Red Crescent, which involves Indonesia and a diplomacy battle, I guess you would call it, between FEC and U.S. Pacific Command. And then if Red Caribbean is not activated by the PRF event, then the Soviet Global Random event will be the Iran-Iraq War. But we'll have to wait and see if that materializes. Okay, so that's the brief intro. Let's get going here. So, the first thing we have up is tech. And Warsaw Pact has 2 major army bases, so 2 tech dice. Anti-missile defense and computers. I don't think there's any big surprises there. Those are the ones Warsaw Pact pretty much has to go for early on. And they got AMD and MIST computers. So they go from stage 1 to stage 2 on AMD. Okay. That's done. Now we go to purchases. As you can see, I've got dashboards and build plates set up all over the map, along with task force cards and so forth. So let's see, let's get here, and we'll zoom in a bit so you can see it a little better. Okay, there we go. Okay, Warsaw Pact started out with 17 in the bank. The quantity over quality special ability allows Warsaw Pact to build MBTs and mechanized infantry for a discount of 1 each. So, for military aid, they're buying a discounted MBT, so the price goes from 4 to 3. And then, since they're sending it to Libya as military aid, they also get to take an arms sales discount of 2. So that reduces the cost of the aided MBT to 1. And then for themselves, they're buying 2 mechs and 2 MBTs for a total of 12. That's 13. And then they're going to buy an airborne for 4, which makes 17. Okay. That's that. Checking my notes. That's how I avoid mistakes. Okay. We are going to have a combat because the Toyota War random event, back up just a hair, requires it. For those of you unfamiliar, just let me read the event to you real fast. Tensions have been simmering between Libya and Chad since 1983, when Libya's leader Muammar Gaddafi, refusing to recognize the legitimacy of the Chadian president Hissène Habré, militarily supported the attempt by the opposition Transitional Government of National Unity to overthrow Habré. The plan was foiled by the intervention of France, which, with Operation Manta, limited Libyan expansion into Chad. Now, in 1985, the KGB believes it's time to relight the fire, and they use a false flag operation to accuse the Chadian government of planning a new preemptive strike on Libya. So, there is the source of our tension. Now, what the event does is it adds 1 minor army base and 2 light infantry to Chad. So there we go. It gives Chad a defense treaty with NATO. Warsaw Pact controls Libya. Naturally, NATO controls Chad. Libya and Chad are at war. If Libya conquers Chad, Libya and Chad both sign a military pact with Warsaw Pact. If Chad conquers both Libyan land zones, then the opposite happens with a military pact with NATO. And if that happens, Warsaw Pact is released for theater nuclear weapons against NATO. If Libya and Chad are still at war when Warsaw Pact and NATO are at war, each signs a military pact with their respective partner. Intervention is limited strictly to military aid. Warsaw Pact can send Libya 1 unit per turn. NATO can send Chad 1 unit per turn. But NATO has an option, and it has a restriction. NATO can choose to purchase a unit to send as military aid, or it can pick an existing French unit and send it as aid. The restriction is that you can see here Chad is landlocked, no access to a port. They do have the minor air base, so an infantry class unit could be airlifted in as military aid. If they want any, or an air class unit could be airlifted in. If they want anything stronger as far as ground power goes, that's going to have to come in by sea and overland. And in order to make that happen, Chad's going to have to negotiate with China or Ethiopia, one or the other. Well, actually, it would have to talk to Sudan regardless, because even if they use an Ethiopian port, they still have to cross the Sudan territory. So that Chad has to negotiate with China for the use of the Chinese allied ports there. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Special rules. Ignore the impassability of the Sahara Desert between Libya and Chad for the remainder of the game. Attacks into Chad from Libya are considered to cross a desert border. On turn 1, Libya must make a border attack against Chad. On future turns, full attacks, including airstrikes, may be made by Libya or Chad. And then NATO may use ports in Sudan or Cameroon. Sorry, I misspoke. But that's also Chinese. Cameroon right there. There's a cooperation treaty with China. And it says the Chinese player decides if these ports may be used. And then I won't get into the wartime income adjustments or additional bonuses because they don't apply yet. So, we have to have a border attack initiated by Libya. So Libya, Gaddafi says he's not going to do half measures. He is going to border attack with everything he has. 3 light infantry and a fighter. Chad has 2 light infantry and a spag in defense. So, let's come over here. Let's see, this is desert, so everybody gets a -1 combat penalty. So the 3 light infantries will be attacking at 1, and then the fighter will attack at its normal 6. But before we do that, the spag does have first strike in defense. So it's going to take its shot at the fighter. Oh, look at that. There's a 2. That shoots down. Let me make absolutely sure. Yep. That shoots down the fighter in first strike, so it does not get to participate in the attack. I don't think Gaddafi was counting on that happening. Okay, so now the fighter dice are removed and the 3 light infantry attack. And they got 3 misses. So now we're going to have 2 light infantry for Chad defend at a 4. They got 1 hit. So this didn't work out too good for Gaddafi's boys. He's gonna kill the chip. So now that is the end of combat. Light infantry goes back to each zone. Yeah, he wasn't counting on that at all. And that's going to be it for non-combat. Okay, place units. Now we're going to come over here. And we're going to set you right here. So we have two mechs that are going into West Czechoslovakia. We have 2 MBTs that are going into East Germany. And the airborne will go into West Czechoslovakia. Okay, that's it for placing units. Next step is a recruitment role for Libya. They have 2 zones. Missed with a 12. Now we will go grab the MBT, which we will just say is produced at the minor army base Let's see, can we do that? Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, we're not moving any warships through there. It's produced at the minor army base in Bulgaria, comes through the Black Sea, around through the Turkish Straits, and down across the Med to West Libya. Okay, collect income. Get it in my hand here, and then I'll show you the chart. Warsaw Pact is at 17, you see there. So that's what they're going to have for next turn. Ozark Outpost, over and out.